So, let's talk about filming. I know what you guys are thinking. Wow, I need a professional camera like a DSLR for this trip. Yes and no. Sure, if you have one, take it. DSLR gives you full control for video results, and different lenses can also create stunning image. However, your smartphone can totally do the job, unless you have a phone like this. Hello? You don't need that anymore. Seriously, smartphones are totally overpowered these days. It shoots 4K, slow-mo, some functions I don't even think my Canon camera has that. With some practice and basic knowledge about filming, smartphone can totally produce high-quality digital stories. This is Digital Storytelling 101, Video Shooting Basic. Well, talking about resolutions, there might be a few words that pop up in your mind, like HD, Full HD, Quad HD, 3D, 60. Well, 60 is not a thing yet. Resolution is more about HD and stuff. HD stands out for high definition, and we often see it from video sites like YouTube. What is that, you ask? Well, our screen is made by little squares called pixels, and 720p means there are 720 pixels on the short side of your screen. Same logic applied to 1080p, 480p. What? Same logic applied to 1080p and 480p, etc. Well, here's a chart for you guys. Well, you might ask, why 4K does not have 4000 pixels? Next question. To be fair, just to remember, bigger the number, sharper the image. The bigger the better. However, most of our devices does not have a 4K resolution screen, and 4K video can take a lot of storage. So I would just recommend record 1080p, which are the default resolution on most of your cell phone cameras. If you're a Samsung user, you can open your camera app and change setting under gear icon, right below the picture size. If you're an iPhone user, you can change the video quality under setting camera. If you have other brands like a Vivo phone, I'm pretty sure you can Google it, right? You're smart, you'll figure it out. Hey, what's up? It's Danny here. Today we're gonna talk about screen ratios and how to record video on your cell phone and stuff like that. Nah, that's not how we do it here. I bet you guys all know it. Most of videos are horizontal. However, you can also use vertical videos, like a first-person point of view.
Whoa! This is the coolest thing I've ever seen!
Other than that, there might be some other ratios that interest you guys. 4:3. Feel more like an old school. And 16:9, a standard format that people use for video recording these days. And 2.39:1, widescreen, or usually what movie uses. You can also add a letterbox like this later during the editing to create a more cinematic look for your videos. Lightings can create different emotional impact. I know someone who knew a guy, spent his whole college year just to study how the film lighting works. For this trip, we're gonna keep it simple. We're gonna use natural light sources. Keep an eye out for the contrast the light has created. For example, you probably don't want your sentimental scenes has a harsh contrast that intimidate your audience. Follow the light or against the light. When you follow the light, lit up your subject in the right exposure. You should have a decent image. Adjust your exposure by pointing at the neutral exposure space on your cell phone. Be careful when you're against the light. You will get a dark foreground that creates a silhouette image. It could be your aesthetic choice, as long as it makes sense to your story. What about light colors, or a so-called color temperature? When the light source is hot, such as the afternoon sunlight, the image on camera appears to be warm orange. When the light source is cold, such as Florence light or cloudy days, the image on camera appears to be bluish. Light color can create a totally different emotions, depending on your stories. You might heard many rules before, like two-third rules, golden rules, triangle rules. Well, one rule above them all, maybe. That is to point out the attention to your audience, and there are many ways to do it. Narrow down your elements. A busy background can be distracting to your audience. You can use negative space or shallow depths of field. Sometimes less can be more. What about get closer to your subject? A wide shot is necessary to tell the story. And after showing the environment, bring your camera closer, show what your character is doing, and create some levels in your digital stories. Guidelines can serve the same purpose. Line in the frame, frame inside the frame, and shape inside the frame, they will all work well. During the trip, you will probably interview someone you meet. When you are interviewing, find a place that is relatively quiet if possible. Don't hesitate to stop the conversation and refilm it if there is too much noise. Remember, sound has directions too. Point your microphone to the source of the sound. You will have a better result. Otherwise, during the trip, our team will provide you with some simple microphones, so get the best out of it. When you're creating your digital story, you might want to use background music and sound effect. Most of the time, you can use it for free on your personal project. But you might need to take a second thought when you post them online. And remember, always give credit to the artist. Yeah, the camera movement. Fancy, exciting! Check this out. A good camera movement simulates the interest of the viewers. But the truth is, many of those shots require fancy gears and equipment. As for you guys, there are some of the cell phones has image stabilizer built in, and that will help the image quality. So Google it and turn it on if you can. Tripods are also viable options for the steady shots, and we will have some ready for you guys too. When you handheld your camera, always try to steady your hands, unless you want to use shakiness to create some tension. But too shaky could cause dizziness, vomiting, headache, diarrhea. You don't want that for your audience. FPS means frame per second. Most common frame rates are 24 frames, 30 frames, and 60 frames. 24 frames are mostly used in traditional filmmaking. 30 frames are most of your camera and cell phone default settings. And 60 frames are often used in those butter smooth Blu-ray DVD. Also, slow motions are a popular trick in digital storytelling. Switch your video setting to slow-mo or 60 and above frames will help you achieve this smooth slow-mo effect. Some of the newer iPhones even have 120 frames per second, and the new Samsung S9 has a 960 frame.
Smartphones are totally overpowered.
If your camera is on manual, always make sure to set your shutter speed twice as your frame rate, or you might lose frames and get a laggy footage. Yeah, don't be afraid if you missed some shots. During the trip, I'll use my toys to take videos as well, and I'll try to compress and share it with you. Also, we recommend all of you to share your footage if there's any cool shots you had captured. But even there are many resources and clips online and from the team. After all, it's your video. So go forth and get those money shots with your own eyes. Right, that should be enough to get you guys going. Alright, go and film something. Practice make it perfect. I'll see you guys around. Peace. That might crash the conversation. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to Don't hesitate to stop the conversation. Don't hesitate to stop the conversation.